Now on WHAS11 News at 5, a Kentucky state trooper shot and 2 church members killed before police shoot and kill the suspect. We've got the latest from the Lexington investigation.
Also ahead tonight, under investigation, what led to the huge mass panic at our fairgrounds Sunday afternoon during the giant basketball tournament that's been underway. After a false report of a shooter on the property, police give us brand new details today.
And a decades-old cold case cracked. Investigators identify the parents of an Indiana baby found stabbed to death in a trash can. All new on WHAS11 News at 5.
The idea that you'd be at church on a Sunday and be subjected to violence is antithetical to what our country is, and we all ought to be praying for a much better world.
Governor Andy Beshear talking about the shooting spree in Lexington that killed 2 women and hurt 3 others, including a state trooper. And we are learning new details about why a man opened fire. And good evening, everybody. I'm Connie Leonard.
And I'm Doug Profit. He left a trail of violence through Lexington starting Sunday morning. The governor says that state trooper is expected to make a full recovery. It started outside the Lexington Bluegrass Airport, right across from Keeneland, and ended at Richmond Road Baptist Church. WHAS11 News learned earlier in the day that the man was stopped by Kentucky State Police right on Versailles Road near the Bluegrass Airport after a trooper had scanned his license plate. Now, he had several active arrest warrants. He was wanted, and that's when the suspect shot the trooper and then fled the scene, stopping to allegedly carjack another new vehicle, and then made his way off to the Baptist church called the Richmond Baptist Church. And
of course, their Sunday interrupted when he came to that church and opened fire, killing 2 women and injuring 2 men. One is in critical condition while the other is stable. That small church community is mostly made up of relatives and longtime family friends. Daisy Rutherford is the daughter and sister of the 2 women killed. She said they knew the shooter, now identified by police as 47-year-old Guy House. Rutherford said her sister was previously in a relationship with House, and they have 3 children together.
He shot over my son, who was in a bassinet, and killed my mother. I was holding my sister's baby, because she was like, hold her, I'll go see what he wants. And so, yeah. And I think that's the reason why he didn't shoot me was because I was holding the baby. But I have no clue.
He allegedly threatened to hurt her family before. Law enforcement says that he was looking for his ex-girlfriend, Angel Rutherford, when House shot her mom and sister instead.
She did have a protective order against him. Angel said his addiction and mental health conditions played a role.
There's no good thing that can be said about any of it. I cannot even believe it. I don't think anyone would be able to wrap their mind around something like that. I just don't think they could. There's no need for that. There's no need for it.
Now, after Guy House opened fire in the church, which is located on Old Richmond Road, police say he was in a standoff. 3 Lexington police officers opened fire and killed him.
And those 2 women killed in the shooting at the church were identified as 72-year-old Beverly Gum, the wife of the pastor, and 32-year-old Christina Combe, her daughter. The pastor and Christina's husband were both hurt, but expected to survive. And while that chaos was unfolding in Lexington, another kind of chaos was happening right here in Louisville.
It happened yesterday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, at a huge event which is underway in town. A false alarm had families and basketball players on lockdown at the Kentucky Fairgrounds.
Now that is the sound of emergency alarms going off inside the Kentucky Expo Center Sunday after those reports of an active aggressor. But police later said those reports were unfounded and no shots were ever fired.
While all of this was playing out, thousands of people were there at the fairgrounds for what's called the Run for Roses Classic Basketball Tournament. Organizers say an initial investigation found a mechanical issue triggered the alarm. There was never a threat on site. Police are saying differently about that tonight. Guests were eventually let back inside to get anything they left behind, but coaches and families alike were not happy with how the situation was handled. Isaiah Kim Martinez and our senior photojournalist Alyssa Newton are live at the Fairgrounds right now. And Isaiah, I know they're letting people back in today. Did the tournament games resume there at the Fairgrounds?
Doug, they did, and in fact right now we're seeing a bit of sort of a lull here because of that rain. Folks are either inside or getting back to their cars. But the bottom line here today, despite the fact that there were no shots fired according to police, there were a lot of parents who were spooked by this, kids who were in those crowds running, who, in their words, were traumatized by this. Many of them did not show back up to play today because of this. And I want to mention some competing narratives, right? We have the organizers who are calling this mechanical malfunction, an error there that caused that fire alarm to sound. But LMPD told me someone inside just flat out pulled the fire alarm. That's after police say a ceiling tile fell and hit a chair, making a loud noise. I'm told this was all going on as a woman inside was reportedly having a medical emergency, which led whoever made the call to believe she had been shot, guys.
Well, as we saw, it was a crowded basketball tournament, many families and coaches from out of town. How did they react? What did they say? Did some of them leave town?
Doug, many of them headed back today. I was told some, I talked to one family who originally from Massachusetts. They're going back. Another from Nashville, including the mom you're about to hear from here, saying their daughters just weren't in the mindset, the mental state to go ahead and play with their team today. Here's some of what she told me, despite the fact that, again, the worst case scenario was avoided.
We realized that it was not an active shooter now, but what we experienced in the moment certainly was, because we had hundreds of people running towards us yelling shooter.
There, she tells me she's not happy with how authorities or tournament organizers have, in her words, downplayed the false report. She was turned off by the fact that they made these posts that, hey, addressing the real sort of impact this made. I'm also told there were 6 injuries, according to police, connected to this, just from folks running through others. None of those serious, by the way, but still injuries nonetheless. She also felt that there should have been some sort of counseling opportunity here at the Expo Center opened up, guys.
So, Isaiah, we've seen the confusion surrounding what happened at Kentucky Kingdom as well, and we've seen the pictures of people locked down there. Can you explain what you found out about that?
Well, Connie, according to police, and I did an interview with them today, they told me that there was indeed a second 911 call calling about a reported active aggressor from Kentucky Kingdom, which, as we know, is just across the street from the Expo Center. Of course, the big question is, were they just calling because of the crowds and what they heard here? Police tell me that is likely. It is something that they're looking into at this time. And I want to read you a statement from Kentucky Kingdom themselves. You're going to see it on your screen here. They said, "We're incredibly grateful to LMPD and our hosts for their quick actions during the reported incident at the Kentucky Exposition Center next door earlier today. While we're thankful it was a false alarm, our proximity to the situation led to an early closure of the park." Guys, we've seen many videos on social media, folks basically running for cover there at the Kentucky Kingdom site as well. Doug, Connie.
Thank you very much. More local news here tonight at 5. A man suspected in the killing of 2 women in Shiley was found dead by suicide last night. LaBradford Ward is accused of killing 26-year-old Shantia Simmons and 22-year-old Amia Cox last Monday. At 11:20 Sunday night, officers located Ward on Shanks Lane in the Rubbertown neighborhood. He was confirmed dead at the scene from a gunshot wound. The police had published a reward for Ward's arrest prior to his death.
Some serious storms out there over the weekend.
And they are back with us right now. And you know, Mallory gave us a briefing in our 3 o'clock meeting today. Mallory, you're saying it's going to be like this for the rest of the month of July. Just might as well put it on a calendar.
I mean, that's what it looks like. There's not a big change in pattern here over the next week or maybe 2 weeks. So expect a lot of this. Keep that umbrella in your car because you never know when you're going to be caught under a downpour, especially during the afternoon and evening hours. And you can see we are dealing with isolated to scattered activity be on the radar this afternoon. Not quite as widespread as what we saw over the weekend or quite as strong as what we saw over the weekend, but still some decent downpours rolling through Jefferson County right now, heading over J-Town, Fern Creek, and also down near Okolona as well, up to Audubon Park and Iroquois Park as well. That's continuing to push off to the east and southeast. A few additional very spotty showers up near Paola. Not a lot of lightning with anything popping up today. Otherwise, that shower moves through. You get a little bit of sunshine and blue sky behind it. I will say all this cloud cover and rain keeping temperatures in check. At the airport, we've dropped down into the upper 70s. That was after being in the upper 80s just about an hour ago. Most of Kentuckiana still in the 80s, and we are expecting those overnight lows to drop back into the 70s tonight before we do this all again tomorrow. We'll talk much more about that rinse and repeat forecast coming up in just a bit.
Mallory, thank you very much. Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell wants to close a loophole created in the 2018 Farm Bill that legalized hemp farming. That's because the loophole allows the sale of intoxicating THC products like Delta 8 that feel like cannabis.
But as our Ian Hardwood reports, closing that loophole could have unintended consequences for non-intoxicating CBD products.
Surrounded by bourbon barrel rick houses, Kentucky Heritage Hemp is a different kind of distilling business in Nelson County.
This is the ground and dried biomass.
President Alice Peterson showed off some hemp flower bound for the extractor. There, another batch sits in food-grade liquid CO2 with 850 psi pushing out CBD oil. In the lab, it's frozen, separated from wax, heated, decarbed, and distilled. Then it solidifies in 5-gallon buckets.
A bucket like this is going to yield hundreds of thousands of gummies.
CBD gummies, used to treat anxiety, pain, insomnia, and more.
These bins hold all of the hemp flower that comes from the Peterson family farm. That means this business, from where it's grown to where it's all distilled, they have an eye on every single step of the process.
Based on the 2018 Farm Bill, we invested millions of dollars to create this business.
Senator Mitch McConnell pushed for the bill, effectively reviving hemp farming across America.
It has allowed for intoxicating hemp-derived synthetic products to be made and sold across our country.
Under a bill that advanced out of the Senate Appropriations Committee, McConnell wants the FDA to set a limit on how much THC ends up in the final CBD product. That's to prevent products like Delta 8 from being sold, which functions similar to cannabis.
And often use deceptive and predatory marketing towards children.
Peterson said the cap is currently 0.3%, which is the same cap Kentucky has on the THC that naturally occurs in hemp flower. Any lower, and she says,
it would kill our business. We don't need to wipe out the entire industry to address this singular problem, and it is a problem.
She supports regulation on THC hemp products, but says completely eliminating THC in organic CBD is unfeasible. In Cox's Creek, Ian Hardwick, WHAS11 on your side.
The bill passed out of the Senate committee, but it still needs approval from both chambers of commerce.